So again, I want to say Happy Father's Day to everyone. Everyone who's maybe a single mother or who had to be the father too as well. All those people who have to do that. And today is really, all right, here I go. Starting to cry already. Today is the perfect day for me to give this message on Father's Day. And so the second song that Catherine is going to sing today, I requested. It's a little Don Henley, Little Eagles. So let me just, I'm going to probably talk about this a little bit, but I had always known that when the day I forgave my father, who was an alcoholic, rager, kind of guy, absent, overbearing, I knew the day that I forgave him, he was going to die. Absolutely knew it. Knew it in my bones. I'd tell that to people and I'd go, oh, that's just your 8-year-old child worrying, blah, blah, blah. And I went, not it. That's not it. And so, so just remember that. Now I have to tell you that my dad got sober, I got sober, everybody got sober, and, okay, except you. And, but, that put us on a road to recovery and happiness and making amends and healing all of our wounds. So it was easy to get to this place of forgiveness with my dad, right? And so that was a part of it. It didn't come out of anywhere. It came from really years of therapy. And working 12-step programs and finding unity and learning how to look at things differently to bring me to that place, okay? So I'm going to save the story for later, but this is the perfect day. Okay, so so I'm talking about forgiveness, and I use the book we're using, Brendalyn, Hell on the Highway, Light at the Door, or Hell in the Hallway, did I say? Highway, okay. All right, who was that, AC/DC? Anyway, Highway to Hell. So, anyway, yeah, that book, I'm doing that, and so it was like, okay, I'll read the book, and it's a good book, and I like the book. And so this is what she says about forgiveness. She says, the key to forgiveness is to stop insisting on what should have happened. Stop making up stories about how your life should have been different. And what she's talking about is acceptance. I have it be divine order, is what she's talking about. It happened. And so I'll tell you that I am a big why. Why? Why did this happen in my life? Why did that happen in my life? Why was my father an alcoholic? Why was my mother an alcoholic? Why did everybody die in my family 4 years in a row? Why did that guy stand me up on the date? Why did he tell me he really loved me and then go cheat on me? Why? I why'd the hell out of myself down that hallway, okay? And so what I finally realized is that there is never going to be a good answer. There is never going to be an answer that satisfies that question. Never, ever, ever. I had to get over that. Never going to happen. It's the ego's job to keep us all stirred up, to keep us distracted with all the stuff over here so we don't find the divine love and forgiveness that we're seeking over here. So it's just doing its job. I used to beat myself up for that. Why can't I let go? Well, I'm buying into the ego and I need to stop. It's doing its job. I need to do my job, right? So, when I accept what is, Byron Katie says loving what is. Now, I'm not always at that point. I'm sorry, Byron, I'm not loving it. But I can accept it. I can surrender that this is what's happening. I can't move forward. I can't move forward until I do that. It's not going to happen. I have to go, okay. It's like, say I wanted to go to New York City. I've never been to New York City. I don't know how to get there. I don't have a map. Do I just put into Google Maps New York City? No, I have to go, okay, well, where am I? This is where I am. I'm right here. I have to accept fully I am in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and if I want to go that way, I have to know where I am. Now, the fun thing about knowing where you are is that no one can surprise you with anything you don't know about yourself. So acceptance of what is and what your part in it is the most freeing truth in the world, and it opens the door for forgiveness to be so much easier than I have it been most of the time. Okay, once we're there, that's when healing takes place. Now, Debenport, so I'm throwing her name in here because I had to read the book and then I'm going to let her go. Debenport says the Greek word for forgive is to untie the knots. I thought that was an awesome definition of the word forgive, because really, when we have to forgive something, it usually means we're angry, we're upset, we're sad, we're hurt, we feel betrayed, and that's knots. You know, that keeps us tangled up and unfree and unable to experience being gentle with ourselves or loving ourselves or forgiving anyone or anything, because we can't do it. We're tied up. Last week, Reverend B talked about our thoughts, right? Do you remember? Our first thoughts. Our first thoughts about a situation are our enemies if they're negative. Now, in Unity, we believe that our thoughts create our world, our reality. And she called negative thoughts stinking thinking, which is, something I learned when, in AA and all those other, it's stinking thinking. And she said we're not responsible for our first thought, but our second thought, and then whatever action we decide to take. But how did our thoughts get so stinky? How did that happen to them? Where did that come from? Why is that there? Why do we even have a first negative thought? So what I have learned over my life and over my spiritual world is that my brain is just a computer. And it has been programmed with every single experience, good, bad, or indifferent, that has ever happened to me in my life. It's there. And that's what everything goes through. That's why I respond a certain way to certain people. I don't like liars. You know why? Because my father was a liar. I could say, ooh, the sky is blue. He'd go, no, it's green. No matter what I said, it was wrong. People died, he would lie. So I have a big button for liars. So when people are like twisting the truth and spinning the truth, I have a big old button for that. That's my dad filter. It's still there because I haven't forgiven it. Now, I'm not a liar because I went to the opposite direction, right? I tell the truth too much, and in ways that gets me in trouble, especially at work. So, I went the opposite way. So in AA, there's that saying that what you see in others is what you see in yourself. That's not true in this case. That's like, I'm not a liar. That's not true. But when I kept looking, when I kept using that as a pointer, I realized what it meant was I still had unforgiveness to do about that situation. Didn't mean I was a liar, but it means I have hurt behind it, I have anger behind it, I have whatever behind that, right? So everything that happens to me, it goes through a filter. So I've got to clean out the filter, right? Isn't there like a defragging? I remember here at Unity, I would have to defrag that computer and it would take days. It seemed like it just was a very slow process. We have to clean up all the space. We have to free it up. We have to untie the knots to let it go. And I have it be that the unhealed experiences is what is behind that first negative thought. I think they tend to dominate our thought system. We can be all positive and happy. I can go to work. I'm here right now, happy, positive. But go get me in my car, and then I can sink back into, okay, now I got to do this, and why did Tim do this morning? And I can get right back into that place, which seems to be a natural state sometimes. You know what? I'm tired of that. And you know what? Getting Tim to change and taking out the trash before he leaves for the day is not going to make that go away. It's not. It's an inside job, right? I want it to be an outside job. But, so just remember, those reoccurring negative thoughts, those reoccurring situations that you have with people are pointers. They are pointers for you to take a look. Why am I having this reaction to this person? What is it in me that I need to clean up or heal? So what happens is, once you clean that up and heal it, it goes away. Every once in a while it might show up to go, hello, and you go, oh yeah, I know you, I'm done. You're over. Or it doesn't have any issue. It doesn't create any more issues within you. We talk about pushing buttons. I know Brendalyn said, I love it, somebody's pushing my buttons, but they didn't install them. That's basically what we're talking about, right? I have lots of buttons. They can be pushed on any given day, but it's not, the person pushing the buttons is actually doing me a favor when I change my point of view to show me I have an issue here that needs to be healed. And, so here's the deal. I am so good at owning my buttons. I do it all day at work. Oh yeah, I have a button. I definitely have a button about that. I reacted incorrectly, and I'll change and I'll move on. And so people go, all right, she's owning her own behavior. How cool is she? Right? But then what I realized for doing this message is that I haven't been working the work. That button's still there. It's great that I can admit it, but when am I going to get rid of it? It's all up to me now. I am the only one that can take care of that button. You know what? My dad is gone. There's a point, I'm sure, at least one other person in this room has people in there who have died and gone to heaven, or wherever they are, that have forgiveness issues. They're not here informed, but you know what? They don't have to be. You know why? Because forgiveness is for you. Forgiveness is for me. It's not, my dad doesn't feel my unforgiveness. Well, maybe he might now, because he's there on the other side. But again, my forgiveness is for me, which brings me to another point. When, there's the forgiveness to that kind of the mainstream. We can kind of have a choice sometimes. Maybe someone's not deserving of our forgiveness. Has anybody ever felt that before? Having something happen that was unforgivable to you. Well, if there's something that's happened to you in your life that's unforgivable, that's your life right there. We have to, oh sorry, thank you. Christine is my manager. We have to realize, if I run out of pain, forgiveness is the only way out for me. And that's my job to take care of it, right? No matter how unforgivable something might be, the only way out is through that. Is through it, to learn from it. And I have a little process I'm going to share with y'all later. Carl Jung, who I love, says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Now that just slaps me upside the head, right? He's talking about those buttons, using those as pointers. Using even just the anger at the news guy on TV or whatever political person you're unhappy with, you can use that as a pointer to bring to the conscious what is unconscious. And I guarantee you, for me, the only way out of that is to practice forgiveness. If you want to find forgiveness opportunities, look at what and how you react to the world. You don't really need to turn on the TV, turn on the news for 5 minutes, 20 minutes. And you'll know exactly where you're at. And again, there's some of that justifiable anger, thing at the immigrant, at the border, that's justifiable anger. How dare them treat those people that way? Rawr. That's justifiable, wouldn't you agree, if someone's mistreating somebody? But can I afford the luxury of that justification of anger? Can I afford that? I can. Will I be as happy as I want to be? Absolutely not. Okay, so the traditional, so Debenport, yeah, she talks about that's traditional forgiveness, where you go, okay, I am in awe of people whose sons were killed by a drunk driver and they can forgive them. I go, whew, those people, those are amazing people I have to meet, but they're doing it because that's what, we're taught to do in church, and that's what Jesus wants us to do, because he was the biggest forgiveness demonstration there is, right? Okay, I love you anyway, right? So, that kind of forgiveness can work for people, but it's kind of a power trip. It can put me in a place of, I'm better than you. Look what you did to me. I'm not going to forgive you. You're not worth my time. It can be a setup for that, and that doesn't feel good either. Then she talks about metaphysical forgiveness, which is what Unity teaches, of course, she's a Unity Minister. And that's where I think the magic happens for us as human beings looking at ourselves, is looking at, it could be a number of ways to look at it, whatever feels comfortable for you, whatever it takes you to that place that you need to get to let something go and forgive it. Right? So why did I bring this into my life? Now I'm not talking about that metaphysical guilt, or what is that word? What does Paul Hasselbeck talk about? Metaphysical abuse. I'm not talking about that. There are things that happen that I, on a conscious level, have no idea why I brought into my life. But the problem is, if I want to heal through it, I have to continue to do the work, right? Because remember, why is never going to answer the question. So when I first started learning that, I did beat myself up and I did metaphysically abuse myself, because if I was really spiritual, I wouldn't get a cold. If I was really spiritual, then all men would love me. They wouldn't betray me or go out or do what, so I really must not be spiritual. What's wrong with me? So we're not talking about that, okay? Just put that aside. That's harmful, hurtful, and it doesn't do you any good. But when I go, okay, this thing happened to me, what can I learn from that? What was my part in it? I have a lot of stuff going on at work. Some of you know. I've been trying to get a new job since Christmas of last year. It's been tough. It's been hard, And, I've had a couple supervisors who have their own issues. It wasn't just me, just so you know. God, I was so happy when I found that out. It's like, okay, these people are full of it. They are angry, they are mean, they are whatever. So, but I had to keep trying to go, okay, I got to heal this. How can I get to another place? What do I need to learn here so I can move on? Why is this happening to me? So the thing that I find always helpful to do, works every time, is to own what is mine to own and quit pointing the fingers. What is mine to own? I had this boss who goes, well, you don't do this enough and you don't do that enough. And it's like, he's right about that. And how he presented it, how he reprimanded me for it, totally, I could have a lawsuit the way he did that. But you know what? He was right. So, okay, I have to own that I could do X, Y, and Z better. And I'm going to do that because I want to feel good about who I am. I want to know that I've done everything in this situation as best I can. I want my integrity to be intact. So he's right, I'm moving forward. And that's really good. That's a really good thing to do. What is mine to own in this situation? You know what? I was angry and I spoke to Mary in an inappropriate way, or spoke about her in an inappropriate way when she wasn't in the room. It was petty, it was this, it was that. I have to own I did that. I have to, because no one can now surprise me. I have to own it so I can accept it, so I can forgive myself, so I can use that as a pointer. Why didn't I just deal with my anger? Why do I want to keep going? See, that's the thing too. I keep telling the story at work. Well, you know what else they did? Well, you know what else she did? So I'm getting confirmation that yes, I am indeed a victim. A justifiable angry victim, and people are going, yeah. Well, now that is when I found out other people's happening to other people, so it was kind of a good thing there. But what that showed me as I was kind of preparing for all this If I had forgiven, I wouldn't need to tell the story anymore. I wouldn't need to keep rehashing it. I could let it go and show up in love. Now, forgiveness, let's talk about that. You don't have to forgive and forget, but you certainly can. That's part of it, letting it go, forgetting it. It's not condoning their behavior. These people got written up by HR because of the way they were doing what they were doing. It's not so much what they were doing, but just how, It's not excusing behavior, and it's not necessarily reconciliation. I had two bosses. One I wasn't very close to, the other I was. So that one felt more hurtful and sad. I was very sad. But I was still telling the story. So now I have to kind of let that go and forgive again. Do I want to go back and engage with her? She took a 2-month leave of absence, just saying. Do I want to go back and engage with her on the way that I had before? I don't think so. I can love her from a distance. I can be healed with this and forgive from a distance. If she ever needed me, I'd help her in a heartbeat. If I saw her broken down on the highway, I'd pull right over. If she needed anything, I would give it. But I don't have to continue to engage and put myself out there anymore. And I can do that as me loving myself and being gentle with myself, not setting myself up. But I don't have to do that and be angry. You know what I mean? We think, well, I'll never talk to them again. But you don't have to. But if you're angry and never talking to them again, they don't know you're still angry. You're the one feeling that. So again, forgiveness is something that I give myself. And it's the only thing that's going to heal. I'm going to say that about 5 more times. My unforgiveness always hurts me. And unless I'm slashing tires, it's only ever going to hurt me. It's never going to hurt the other person. Oh, I already said that. Okay. So, oh boy, I'm so ahead of myself. See, I don't know why I have notes sometimes, because I'm on page 7 already. Just kidding. Okay. Okay, so, well, good. I'm doing good. So, in Alcoholics Anonymous, Brendalyn last week talked about the first and the second and the third step. We're powerless over the situation. That's part of accepting what is right. I'm powerless that my father was an alcoholic, and I've come to believe that a power greater myself can restore me to sanity. And the third one is I've made a decision to turn my will and my life over. Now the fourth step is our own personal inventory. So see how all this lines right up? Right? It all lines up. We accept it, we become willing, and now we have to do the work. So I learned a long time ago, probably in the 90s, I guess, I was a drug and alcoholism counselor at Pignon Hills Hospital, which is now the Dragon Studio over on Camino Larry. And so I had to get into the steps, and I found this inventory called the road inventory. So Janine, hello, we're going to put the road up. Now, because I think therapy is awesome and it helps us deal with why our mother didn't potty train us right, or whatever the issues are that make us who we are today, therapy is great. But without forgiveness, it's missing something. And so I found this inventory. Ooh, got a little cat of wampus. And I added forgiveness to it. So the first thing you might want to do is if you have a resentment and you want to clean it up, like I'm going to go home tonight and write, I resent Mary because she betrayed me in a room full of people, because she shut me down, she wouldn't speak to me or shut me out. She hurt my feelings. So I'm going to go home and I'm going to write down everything that I resent that Mary did to me. I'm going to write it all out. The next part of it is where I start taking some self-responsibility. I own that I have shut people out before. I own that I have talked about people. I own that I have hurt people. Whatever it is, if you can own it, then you own it. If it's something that you have a button to, like, my honesty thing with my dad, just be really aware. What part of this is yours to own? How have you done this to yourself or others? The next step is to appreciate. This is that part of unity that I love so much. What is the good that came out of this bad situation? So I appreciate Mary for doing X, Y, and Z because it brought me closer to my relationship with God. You know how much praying I had to do? It helped me realize that I'm not doing enough of my own forgiveness work. I will always love her, all right? And I demand that Mary stop being who she is. I demand it. Oh, is that going to work? So that just kind of helps us get into a place of powerlessness. I am totally powerless over Mary and what she decides to do in her life. I'm powerless over however she talks to me from here on out. I am powerless. All I can do is change my own response to anything. And then the last step is to forgive. I forgive Mary for blah, 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 blah. I forgive for all this stuff. Now I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest right here and now, forgiveness, I need to forgive almost everybody in this room for something. Everybody's done something to me, I think, right? Forgiveness can seem so big and so daunting. And how do we do that? How do we get past that? I often forget that God is part of the equation. And that here in Unity, our divine mind, our divine nature, that I'm not out here on my own. All of that is a part of the process, as long as I'm doing my part. So there's this awesome parable that I love this thing, and it gives me hope and it gives me faith. So there was this a king who had quarreled with his son. They had a big fight, and the king was so angry he banished him and said, "Get out of here. You're not welcome here anymore." So after a few years, you know, the king was thinking about it. He started feeling really sad. He started missing his son, and he realized how wrong he was. So he sent out messengers to find his son, and with a message to say, "Hey, I'm really sorry. Please come home. I want you back." And the son said, "Not so fast, Pops." He goes, "I'm still angry. I can't do it. I'm not ready." So the messengers sent that message back to the king, and he sent out another one. And so the message was, "Dear son, return to me as far as you can go. As far as you can go. And I will come the rest of the way." That's the journey. That's God going, you do what you do. Come as far as you can come. And then divine love takes over and carries us the rest of the way. Now, who doesn't want to experience that? I do. The only way I'm going to do that is to look at my life and forgive what needs to be forgiven. And then I can show up and I can just love Mary anytime I want, without any stuff in between. I could probably even be your friend. Not till I get into this place. Now really, really quickly, the story about my dad, and then we're going to do a little forgiveness action. So I was listening to The Heart of the Matter, which is the song that Catherine's going to sing for us every morning for weeks. Because I knew in 1994, I'm still working on it. So all those many years ago, I'm still going, forgiveness. But I was listening to this song, and it was really moving me. I just loved it. I still listen to it. And I was reading in my Course in Miracles book that day, and it was talking about setting the goal of, like, if you have a relationship, if you make peace the goal, then everything that happens between now and the time you reach your goal is part of the journey. And it said, trust your brother to do his part. Trust your brother to do his part. And I thought of my dad. That's when I realized, okay, in the world of form, my father is my dad, but in the world of metaphysics, he's my brother. He's just walking the world like me. And I had the biggest aha moment. I just melted, and I came to this place of complete forgiveness for my dad. And he died at 10 o'clock that night. Oh my God. It's like, wait. I'm sorry. And what I realized through that process is that my dad didn't need my forgiveness before he left. I I needed my forgiveness before he could go. And somehow, in the big metaphysical, there are no boundaries in consciousness world, he knew that. And so that's why this song is so important to me and taught me such a big lesson. So now I'm going to ask you some questions, and we're going to do our little meditation before we go. Do you want peace? Yes. Forgiveness offers it. Do you want happiness, a quiet mind, a certainty of purpose, and a sense of worth and beauty that transcends the world? By the way, this is from A Course in Miracles. Forgiveness offers it. Do you want a quietness that cannot be disturbed, a gentleness that can never be hurt, a deep, abiding comfort and rest so perfect that it can never be upset? All of this forgiveness offers you, and much more. It sparkles in your eyes. As you awake, it gives you joy with which to meet the day. Forgiveness lets the veil be lifted that hides the face of Christ from those who look with unforgiving eyes upon the world. Forgiveness lets you recognize the face of Christ in everyone you see. And it clears your memory of all dead thoughts, all those negative, knotted up, hurt and angry thoughts. The unforgiving mind does not believe that giving and receiving are the same. We will try to learn right now that they are one and the same through practicing forgiveness toward one whom you think of as an enemy, and one you consider a friend. And as you learn to see them both as one, we will extend the lesson of forgiveness to yourself and see that their escape includes yours. So begin by thinking of somebody that you do not like, someone who seems to irritate you or cause regret in you if you were to see them. Maybe someone you actively despise, or someone maybe you just ignore. It doesn't matter what form your anger takes. You've probably chosen them already. That person will do. Now take a deep breath and see this person in your mind, and just look at them for a while. Now try to perceive some light in them somewhere, a little gleam which you never noticed. Try to find a little spark of brightness shining through the ugly picture that you hold of him. And look at this picture until you see that light somewhere in him. And now, try to let this light extend until it covers him completely. And it makes this picture of you that you hold of him bright and loving, beautiful and good. You are beholding the Christ in him. Now look at this picture. Seeing the Christ in him, surrounded by this light. And turn your mind to somebody that you call friend, and picture them standing there. Try to transfer the light you learned to see around your former enemy. Transfer it to your friend. Perceive him now as more than friend to you. In this light, his holiness shows you your Savior. Saved and saving, healed and whole. And now, see these two beings filled with the nature of divine love and divine light. See them offering you this light and this love. Let your friend and your former enemy unite in blessing you with what you gave to them. And now, feel what this light feels like. Allow this divine love and forgiveness to flow in and through you. Remember this moment, this feeling of love throughout the day-to-day. And take it into every relationship, every interaction